So last video I talked about things that I did like from Assassin's Creed Origins, but also giving kind of some context about what the things you are going to see during this specific time period that the game represents. Let's talk about some of the pet peeve things. And I say pet peeve because they're not that big, they're just little things that kind of annoy me about the game. My big one is the map, and I understand why they made the map like this, but it's the map. It just really gets on my nerves. The thing about this is that because they put the Nile so over here, you don't actually get to go on this side of the Nile anywhere. And this is not always the case, but in a lot of cases, the ancient Egyptians considered the east side of the Nile the land of the living and the west side of the Nile the land of the dead, which is why you have the pyramids on those sides and lots of different tombs on kind of the west bank of the Nile. This is not always true, but it happens a lot. So what's going on the East Bank? Essentially, they have made the pyramids over here and they have made the city of Memphis and a lot of the capital cities immediately next to it with kind of a small little tributary of the Nile on the other side. It's not necessarily how it worked. And so the map annoys me because they've also squished this entire like area up here very, very tightly. And you do get to go to Thebes/Luxor in one of the DLCs. And I think that one is actually laid out really, really well, but it's unfortunate because it's like so far down this like larger map. And so this is my only like big thing is that they put the Nile so far to this side and they just said, oh, this is just completely desolate land. You can't go here. That's not how it worked. One of my other pet peeve things is with the pyramids themselves and even the Sphinx. It annoys me that they changed the interior passages of the Great Pyramid of Giza as well as some of the other ones. Essentially just for gameplay reasons. Like literally, it's not like we don't know what is inside the pyramids. We do. They've all been mapped. There's so many maps. And they added like so many other things. And unfortunately, I just think that perpetuates all of the like secret passages and treasure troves inside the pyramids. We don't know anything about like it all just like kind of just supports that kind of jargon that is not true. And it doesn't also help that they add like secret chambers full of gold and gold that dates from completely other different time periods than the period that we're in. And I'm just like, why? Like, why are you just like putting hordes and hordes of gold items in certain rooms? I also have a lot of problems with how they portrayed Cleopatra VII. Not necessarily physically. I think physically she is fine. She is much harsher than I think Cleopatra has ever been kind of depicted. And I do think they stem a lot into her sexuality, which is a very controversial topic because there's a lot of essentially propaganda that came out, mainly from the Romans, about Cleopatra that Egyptologists have been trying to sift through for a very, very long time to try to really get a better picture of who she was as a person. And I just find like she is semi-made to be the villain in this game. In like certain aspects, she is one of the villains and she's not. I don't know if that's the way that they wanted it to be portrayed as, but that's kind of how it sees it. Like I see her. And I don't really know if I want that for her. It's a little bit hard to kind of describe because it's odd. It's odd kind of how the relationship between the main characters and Cleopatra and how she is supposed to be in this game. The other thing that annoyed me is kind of how they mixed some of the art styles of a lot of different ancient Egyptian times all together. For example, you'd be going around a temple or you'd be going around, like, especially I noticed in like the mummification houses where you would watch like a human being mummified, they would have all coffins that were like sitting up against each other. And some of them would be Greco-Roman with like the Fayum mummy portraits. Some would be like a direct copy of Tutankhamun's coffin. And then some would be like a Middle Kingdom square rectangle coffin, no human face, nothing. And I'm like, none of these existed at the same time. Like, just pick the one that existed during that time, dude. Like, makes it so much simpler. If you have any other questions about how ancient Egypt is perceived in video games or other popular media, please let me know in the comments.